they could be practicing a code red. They talked about doing this. They even talked about police coming on and, shooting blanks, to see what would happen, and I said, it's kind of weird.
We had rumors going around the school that the police would do a fake code red with fake fake guns, not actual, but sounding real. And I thought at the beginning that this was it was all a drill. It was just a drill.
I assume that it's a code red drill because they told us earlier in the day that we're going to be having a code red drill. I assumed it was blanks.
The suspect entered the east stairwell, that's building 12, with a rifle inside a black, soft case. The suspect exited the stairwell, pulled the rifle out of the case.
He started to take the bullets and load in the gun. I froze. He then said to me, "Get out of here. It's gonna start getting messy."
Where was he loading his gun?
On the stairwell, the bottom stairwell. He took it out of like a gun case that kind of looked like a guitar case.
Why do you think he spared you?
I don't think he was fully reloaded yet. I don't think his bullets were in.
At 2:21 hours and 33 seconds, the suspect readied his rifle and began shooting into rooms 1215, 1216, 1214. He went back to 1216, back to 1215, and then to 1213.
We heard boom, 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 boom in the hall, and the kids instantaneously dropped to the floor. Then they tried hiding behind file cabinets. They went behind my desk. And seconds after that, the gunman shot his AK-15 into the glass panel of my door and hit several of my students, and two were fatally wounded.
He opened fired at the door from the inside the hallway through the door and just started spraying through the door. It's like a glass little window, and he just shot right through it and just shot from outside. He never came into the room, but he just started spraying inside of the room and he just hit people.
I was in the freshman building, first floor, and he went up and down the hallway, just banging and shooting into the classrooms. He shot through my door and broke the window.
But he shot quite a few bullets into the glass, and it hit a few people behind me, and yeah.
I was inside the freshman building on the first floor when we heard the shooting, and it came in towards the right side of the building. He shot through the door of our, and the door has a window, and he shattered the glass and was shooting through the walls and everything, so yeah.
And that's when I heard two shots fired in the hallway. The first two shots, everyone in the room froze, right? Everyone was under the impression it was a drill. That's what we said to each other. And the third shot was fired, and that's when we knew that it wasn't a drill. And that's when he shoved the barrel of his gun through the window of the door and started spraying. So I looked up and I looked in the window and I saw him firing through the window. And then at one point he stopped firing altogether and just peered in and looked in and then walked away.
Did you know who it was?
Not initially, no, because I was under the impression there was multiple of them because of how many shots were being fired. It wasn't until I got to the hospital that I started making the connections, and then it clicked that it was Nikolas Cruz.
Well, let me give you some new information. The gunman was wearing a gas mask and had smoke grenades. He then went and activated the alarm system.
The suspect then took the west stairwell to the second floor and shot one victim in room 1234 on the second floor. The suspect then took the east stairwell to the third floor.
When everybody realized that and he started coming up the stairs, everybody started running back to their room. There was a stampede of people just sprinting back to their rooms. We were all waiting at the door, and he comes over and he unlocks the door, and we all get in, and I see this figure come up the stairs with this pistol, and I guess that was him.
We were all in the hallway, and then we heard the shooter again shooting at us, and everyone just ran back into a classroom, not even their classroom, just everyone went into a classroom.
We didn't know whether it was one shooter or two, and one of the boys that initially ran into my room was like, there's two shooters on, and
As I was going down the stairs, I heard a couple shots fired. Everyone was freaking out, saying that it was a gun. And as we were walking, the whole class together, I actually was speaking to the suspect, Nikolas Cruz. And as I was speaking to him, he seemed very, I don't know what the word I want to say is, but he was trouble in middle school, so I kind of joked to him about it and said, I'm surprised you weren't the one who did it. And he just gave me a huh? So that's really what happened.
You were walking down the hall, he had already fired at that time.
Yes, sir, with him.
Weren't you scared?
In the moment I wasn't, because there was obviously definitely another shooter involved, but...
Oh, you think he was not the only one?
No, definitely not.
Why do you say that?
Because when shots were fired, I saw him after the fact. So, and the shots were coming from the other part of the building. So there definitely had to be two shooters involved, I believe.
That's the first I've heard of that. Did you see any other students who were wounded?
No, sir.
The suspect then took the east stairwell to the 3rd floor. He dropped his rifle and backpack, ran down the stairs. He exited building 12 and ran towards the tennis courts.
I get to the door at the top of the west stairwell in the 1200 building. We hear gunfire. I assume that it's a code red drill because they told us earlier in the day that we're going to be having a code red drill. I assumed it was blanks. There's the shooters already up at the tail end of the hall, at the other end, the east end of the building. Heard 2 shots. I didn't see it, but then those 2 shots would have been my friend Scott Beagle. He looked down the hallway and started shooting. At this point, I'm pretty much in the middle of the hallway. I go for cover. At that point, I looked down at the shooter. He looked at me, pointed his AR at me, and started shooting. Bang, bang, bang. All of a sudden, the shooting stopped. I looked down. He was reloading. I yelled, run. And then I ran behind as many kids as I could.
There are reports that you were grazed on the cheek by a bullet, that you actually saw Nikolas Cruz reloading his gun.
When I was in the middle of the hallway at the time, and I saw him point his gun at one of my former students. I saw him go down, and 4 or 5 shots later, it stopped. So that's when I poked my head around, saw he was either fidgeting with the gun, reloading or something, told my kids to run. When I got to the door at the top of the stairwell, as I was leaving, after my kids made it down at least 2 flights of stairs where I couldn't see them anymore, went to the 2nd floor, into the conference room, and hid in the men's bathroom till the police came through.
The suspect then took the east stairwell to the 3rd floor. He dropped his rifle and backpack, ran down the stairs.
I was about 2 feet away from my door. All of a sudden I heard gunshots in the stairwell, which is about 20 feet away from my room. And then kids were screaming, and then I suddenly saw the shooter about 20 feet from me, standing at the end of the hallway, actively shooting down the hallway, just a barrage of bullets. And I'm staring at him thinking, why is the police here? This is strange, because he's in full metal garb, helmet, face mask, bulletproof armor, shooting this rifle that I've never seen before. I don't know when I decided it was the right time to close the door. I grabbed the handle with both hands, and that's when I got nicked, or grazed, or whatever you call it.
So a bullet hit your arm?
Yes. As I'm closing my door, I'm shouting at my next door neighbor, Mr. Scott Beagle, but he couldn't see the shooter. I had a good visual of him, which is why I yelled at him to shut his door now. I heard him shoot a barrage of bullets into Mr. Beagle's room. And then he came to my room and shot about 4 or 5 shots into my room, breaking the glass of my door. There's a rectangular piece of glass. And I heard him continuously shooting down the hallway. And I never really knew when he left because we just thought he was still there. It was so quiet. And then all of a sudden I hear helicopters outside, far, far in the distance, it seemed to me. Police officers far, far in the distance. Kids were screaming in the hallway for help. We're trained not to let anybody in the room. And I would say a good 45 minutes went by, maybe an hour. And when we heard the SWAT team come on the floor, but I still didn't trust that it was them because they were banging on the doors. Police let us in. No one got up.
Because there's only 2 exits in the freshman building, so everybody started running to the other exits, but that's when the other shooter started coming up. So everybody, and then I thank God to this teacher who opened up her door and let all of us in. She got shot in the arm trying to open the door, and then the other teacher, he got shot in the head trying to cut the other students. They were trying to.
So you think there was more than? Do you think there was more than one shooter?
There's 3 shooters. That's what I hear. Definitely. We finally got out, and like they started yelling at us to keep focused and pay attention ahead, the army people, because they didn't want us to see the bodies that they hid in the corner. They were putting mats over them so we wouldn't see them. No, one teacher's dead. That's what there's 2 security guards who are dead. The teacher's dead, and then my other teacher, she got shot in the arm, but she's fine. She just started walking home too.
The suspect then took the east stairwell to the 3rd floor. He dropped his rifle and backpack, ran down the stairs.
It was like a movie scene. There was gunpowder all over the floor. It was just so real, but it felt so fake.
How did you guys find the photo?
We started looking through the JROTC composites, and we found the picture of him, and we just started sending it out to law enforcement. Me, Colton, and our first sergeant, we all got on our phones and tried to get through. We all had pretty crappy service, but we sent the photo out to law enforcement, and we're pretty sure it helped them arrest him.
Well, we know that this is a very high-profile and very difficult and sad, tragic case that has impacted our community greatly. And with the one single interaction we've had with the individual, we wanted to be able to provide the information to the public so they would know what had transpired.
A just-released report on Cruz from the Florida Department of Children and Families shows the breakup with his girlfriend was triggered by her mom. The girl's mother told the kids they had to end the relationship because it was unhealthy for everyone. The report says Cruz started cutting himself after the relationship ended.
Information about the Parkland shooting suspect after judge orders DCF release its confidential records on Nikolas Cruz. The department investigated Cruz back in 2016 after his mother found a Snapchat video of him cutting his arms. At that time, Cruz was getting counseling. He was also on medication. The report says a crisis expert determined that Cruz was not a risk to himself or others and didn't need any further help.
A judge ruling the Department of Children and Families can release a report on their involvement with Cruz in late 2016 when someone called their hotline to say Cruz was acting erratically.
The reports themselves classify Nikolas Cruz as a vulnerable adult due to mental illness, specifically due to depression, ADHD, which would be attention deficit with hyperactivity disorder, autism, and that he was taking medication as a result of these issues.
Court documents obtained by Inside Edition show his adoptive father, Robert P. Cruz, died in 2004 of a heart attack, leaving a $1 million estate. His mother, Linda Cruz, sold their house for $570,000. In November, she died from the flu after refusing to seek medical help.
And we're now learning more about the suspected shooter through his education plan first obtained by ABC affiliate WPLG. It shows Cruz was attending a school for emotionally and behaviorally disabled students in 2015. Administrators noting while he was making progress at the alternative school, he was reported to be distracted by inappropriate conversations of his peers if the topic is about guns, people being killed, or the armed forces.
Things got weird fast.
Things got weird. How?
He hit her. And he would send her very violent, accusing messages, saying like she was cheating on him with our other friends, that, you know, like she didn't deserve him, that he was going to kill her. You know, she had marks. She was scared of him. He started becoming violent and very obsessive and very aggressive to the point of where it was somewhat frightening. He made this into a joke, saying, I'm going to be the next school shooter. I have all these guns. If you mess with me, I will kill you. In those messages, he talks about bringing a gun to school and killing our friends.
But this morning, I implemented a practice within the Broward Sheriff's Office and spoke to Mr. Runcie, who was fully supportive of my decision that our deputies who are qualified and trained will be carrying rifles on school grounds from this point forward.
But then it really starts to set in that this is not a drill, this is real life. And just saying that even, this is not real life. This can't be real. It can't be real.